We were promised that if we got to that pinnacle end of checklist, we'd be happy and well and successful, and life would magically fall into place and be easy. That was a lie, because we've done the things. We did all of the things we were told to do. This version of success that we are all tuned into and have been chasing, it actually isn't ours. We didn't agree to it. We simply inherited it. And so we have to be willing and brave enough to let it go if we want life to be different. Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to our very first official episode of this whole new podcast, Rethinking Success. Really exciting, really exciting. Gosh, I feel hot. I feel like, I'm talking about something completely different than what I've talked about before. That's not entirely true, actually. If you've ever seen me speak on stage or I've facilitated an event or a workshop that you've been in, you would have noticed some of the things I'm about to talk about. I, over the past few years, have been in the wellbeing space and loved it, and it's been great. And I wrote 2 books for teachers and school leaders about wellbeing. And I have a new book coming out June 30, The Wellness Paradox, or maybe when you're listening to this, it's already out. And it's really built on this idea of rethinking what success is. Now, there's a lot of talk about success out in the world, online, on social media platforms. And so many of us are tapped in to a universal version of success, a very westernized version of success, actually. And it's hard to grapple with because I think there are a group of people that think this is what success is. This is a traditional version. I think there are another group of people that are totally breaking rules and doing things differently, and we'll talk about that a bit later. And then there are people like me, the millennials, maybe a bit older or a bit younger than me. We sit in this space and we're like, we know how we were raised in regards to what success is, isn't quite landing for us anymore, but we've done the work, right? And then we're watching this other generation of people and we're thinking, gosh, how come they're doing it differently? Or they're brave enough to go, maybe we shouldn't be doing it like this. And it puts us in this space of really wondering, what have we done wrong? And I just want to start by saying no one has done anything wrong. Everything that has happened has served a certain purpose for that period of time. We're just in a different period of time. We have different resources. The world looks different economically. The workforce looks different. What we know about people looks different. And so it's not that this generation got it right and this generation got it wrong and we need to blame someone. But gosh, we actually need to come to a point of asking, is the version of success that we were raised on right for us right now? Now, you probably know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to unpack it anyway. This idea of success, if like me, you were born in the 80s and went to school in the 90s, finished in the early 2000s, went to university in the 2010s, workforce, late 2010s, early 2020s, that's my kind of timeline. And I was raised on this version of you go to school, you get really good grades, you go to university, you get a degree, you want it to pay at least 6 figures, keep climbing the ladder for that. And then once you reach that, you get the promotion, and then that promotion's not enough. You got to go for the next promotion and you got to climb the career ladder, or maybe you've met someone, you get married, you have kids, you buy the house. These 2 things are kind of happening at the same time. It is this perfectly laid out checklist for us. Now, somewhere along the way, social media was introduced and all of a sudden we have to be putting everything online and it has to look perfect. And then there are added layers of success around what our house should look like, what the aesthetics should look like, the holidays we go on, the hobbies we have. We've got to take photos of all of these things, put them online, share them with strangers and people we don't even know so they can critique our life based on a version of success that they're also following. And then we're stuck in this trap. It's kind of like, what happened? Now, some of us are still trying to race and keep up with that. And some of us are going, I don't really know. I feel like I've done all the things, but what went wrong? Now, nothing went wrong. You see, this version of success that we are all tuned into and have been chasing, it actually isn't ours. We didn't agree to it. We didn't sign up for it. We didn't design it ourselves. We simply inherited it. We inherited this version of success that really has been passed down. It's been passed down from our parents, grandparents, the schools we went to. It's passed down in movies that we watch. And at the time, we can make sense of why that happened. And let's be real, like those people passing down those messages intentionally or subtly, they just want the best for us. And so we did it. We were like, right, this is what we have to do. We have to follow the steps. This is what we've signed up for. We're going to make it happen, because at the end, we were promised that happiness would lie there. We were promised that if we got to that pinnacle end of checklist, we'd be happy and well and successful, and life would magically fall into place and be easy. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm looking around and I'm going, that was a lie. What happened? Because we've done the things. We did all of the things we were told to do. I did them to a T. I was perfect at it. Now, I wasn't raised in an environment where this is what my parents were doing. So I also had this inner peace going, make sure you don't follow that path you're in. Make sure you follow the success path. That's how you're going to be happy in life. That's how you're going to be set up to actually live a happy, well, fulfilled life. I ticked the boxes. And where did I end up? At about 32, with complete burnout, with burnout and chronic stress, with having to completely redesign my life. And what's happening now? Mental health issues are on the rise. People are experiencing burnout more than ever before. And here's why I think it's happening. Because we have inherited a version of success, we've been told that our life and our worth is based on how much we can cram into our day, how much we can cram into our week, how much we cram into our month. And it's based on what everyone else's perception is. Now, this is kind of wild, right? Because we're also in a space of self-help and self-development, and we know that we should be doing what we need. But we've also been raised to believe that our self-worth is based on and designed, connected to this inherited checklist of success. Like, it's just wild when we start to unravel all of those pieces. I think it kind of makes sense why we're at a point where we're like, is this it? Like, I've done everything. Why is this not enough? I am so tired from trying. And then in came this idea of wellness and well-being, and all of a sudden this self-care movement. And it's like, we know you've been chasing this version of success, but guess what? If you're not there, or if you are there and you're feeling tired and you're feeling like it's not enough, you now have to add in this whole wellness routine and all of this self-care, and you have to make sure you're looking after yourself, getting massages and mani-pedis and drinking your matches and having self-care Sundays and doing the self-development work. And it's like, whoa, we added this layer on as well. And these two versions of what success look like, or this intertwined piece, are actually pulling on our ability to be well. Because we're being told from one angle that this is what will get you to happy. And so we've done that. And now we're like, this didn't work. We've been told that this is what success looks like, and we followed it. Then in with that got woven this idea of wellness. And so we've put that in there as well. Yet all of these things just feel like they're pulling us down further and further and further. So I actually think for all of us right now, with what's happening globally in the world, around the economy, around AI, around workplaces changing post-COVID, we have to be brave enough to rethink what success looks like and understand that it's not so much about external achievement, but about internal knowing and being. And you're probably like, Amy, look, that just sounds too far from where I am right now. I've got to get my things together. I've got to get my life sorted. This is where I'm at. And I get it. Like, yes, there are certain aspects that have to be in place in order for us to live and function in the society we're in. There's no denying that. But does that mean that they're a measure of our self-worth? Does that mean they have to be a measure of success? I don't think that's entirely accurate. And what baffles me at the moment is this version of success we're all holding on to so tightly is actually being disrupted by what we're seeing in AI. You know, like if we're saying that in a couple of years, AI can replace so many jobs, in a couple of years, what we were told to go to university and study will be replaced by AI, and we've attached our self-worth to this and this version of success, then maybe we've attached our self-worth to the wrong thing. And so this concept of success, it isn't actually working for us anymore. It's not right. And so this whole podcast is actually going to be about rethinking what success looks like. And ultimately, I hope, giving you permission to understand that rethinking success means slowing down. It means getting comfortable with average. And in my book, I talk about 6 paradoxes: the paradox of energy, the paradox of emotions, the paradox of resilience, the paradox of belonging, the paradox of success and the paradox of wellness. Those 6 paradoxes that we're grappling with are ultimately what is creating the tension between what we were raised on, how we want to live, and the tension in the middle. And so through rethinking success, what I want you to know is this. 1, the version you're probably attached to and that I was attached to was never yours. You didn't design it. You didn't create it. You simply inherited it. And for some point in time, for some people, that version of success works. But guess what? It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. It's just not it. And so we have to be willing and brave enough to let it go if we want life to be different. And I really think this is the point in time where that needs to happen. So the version of success that you are likely following is probably not yours, and I dare say inherited from someone. I really think that most of us are holding on to this. It also no longer works for the society that we live in. It no longer works for a society where workplaces look different, where finances look different, where the economy looks different, where the future looks vastly different. There are so many different career paths we can take. We don't have to go to university anymore. We're not seeing people own houses, and I don't mean that in a financial aspect, like we can't afford it. I mean, there are people actually choosing just not to own a house anymore because that's not in their version of success. And so we're seeing this push and pull. And I really think that if we are to move into a society where people are well and happy, we have to let go of this version of success. And so I want you to be open to doing that. As you listen, as you learn, as you listen to these episodes with me, and as you come on this, I don't want to say journey, right? But as you come on this journey, where we start to debate and question and ponder whether or not this is actually right for us anymore, you're open to it. Now, if you are following this journey of success, this path that I've laid out, the traditional version, and it's worked for you and you love it, like hang in there, go for it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I don't think it's actually designed with our wellness and happiness at its center. And we're all feeling it, aren't we? We're all like, I did the right things. I ticked the boxes. I am lining up for a gold star when they hand them out in regards to who followed the path to success, me. But like, how happy are we with that? Did it actually get us what we want? I ended up sleeping in my car because I was so tired and burnt out. I couldn't function after a day's work. Like, that's not normal. Yet somewhere along the line, we were told that that's part of it. So welcome to this whole podcast about rethinking success. And getting ready to let's just tear things apart a little bit and see where we land. Because if we can't have conversations like this, I really don't think that we're going to be able to function in a world or a society that allows us to not just challenge things individually, but ultimately gets us to rethink not success alone, but really the concept of work and life. That's what it's all about. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you've enjoyed this, please share with people that you know, that you love online. And as always, have a wonderful day, night, evening, whatever time of day it is for you. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.